Okay, I see Nathan unmuted. Are you gonna tell me something?
No, just ready for the next item.
Okay, we're gonna move on to number 6, which is fiscal year 2019-2020 Growth Management Plan, General Plan, Annual Monitoring Report, Circulation Section, Roadway Level of Service Analysis. That's not a long name. And we're gonna have Nathan present and Mr. Frank.
Thank you, Chair Gokin. Yes, my name is Nathan Schmidt, the Transportation Planning and Mobility Manager. And this item before you today is the fiscal year 2019-2020 Growth Management Plan and General Plan Monitoring Report. The recommended action for this item is to support staff's recommendation to City Council to receive and file the Growth Management Plan, GMP, General Plan, Annual Monitoring Report Circulation Section. So just as an introduction to the GMP monitoring, the purpose of the GMP monitoring, there's multiple elements to that. It's been a growth management tool since 1986. It ensures that new growth doesn't outpace public facilities. It establishes citywide and quadrant housing caps. It establishes performance standards for public facilities, and development cannot proceed until the deficiencies are addressed. And for this report, the circulation section is the focus of today's report. So in regards to the performance standards mandated by the monitoring process, first is to implement a comprehensive livable streets networks that serves all users of the system. It requires to maintain a level of service D or better for all modes. So that's vehicles, bikes, pedestrians, and transit modes. And it excludes level of service exemption intersections and streets approved by City Council. If a performance standard is not met, the facility is then deemed to be deficient. In regards to the method used for the vehicle levels.
1 second, Nathan. Sorry for interrupting you. Commissioner Wanamaker, can you please mute? And anyone else that's not presenting, please mute. Thank you. You're not muted. Try it again.
Okay.
Commissioner Wanamaker?
Yeah, I'm running out of power here. Okay.
Can you? Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting some beeping going on, and I'm just going to share my screen here. All right, so back to the methods used for vehicle level of service monitoring. So for today's report, we are just focusing on roadway or vehicle level service analysis. It evaluated the arterial connector, and industrial street typologies for this year's report. The analysis is based on the highest peak hour directional volume from 3-day counts, and the counts for 2020 were conducted in April, May, and June. So they got that period when school was in session before it was left out. Really, the reason that it was staggered amongst these 3-month period was just because of the sheer number of locations. There were over 100 locations that were counted, so they had to stagger them out through that time. The analysis
but school was not in session, right?
You're right. Technically, yes, yeah. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But yeah,
I saw Commissioner Hunter's face.
Yeah, not in 2020.
This is 2020. There's no school. There's no traffic.
Yeah, none of that was fun. So the facility level service methodology is based upon the highway capacity manual, and the monitoring results do reflect the conditions as the time of data collection. So getting back to that point, for 2020, there was a significant impact. Well, not in terms of EIR, but in terms of just general impacts. It was the COVID-19 global pandemic. So in April 2020, just looking at some historic traffic volumes that were published by Sandag, traffic volumes had actually decreased by an average of about 41% throughout the region. Specifically, as an example, on I-5, they decreased by over 50% year over year. So from April 2019 to 2020, there's a drastic reduction. And really a lot of this gets back to the changes in our daily lives that occurred during that time. So it was both traffic volumes and the daily travel patterns that were really impacted throughout the city. These changes were a result of multiple factors, such as school closures, restrictions on business operations, and a very drastic increase amount of telecommuting for many office all employees working during that time. So while traffic volumes are likely to rise again, staff will continue to monitor that through annual reports. Some of the changes in work patterns and reductions in traffic volumes may be permanent due to the pandemic speeding up and the transition to telecommuting. That's going to be an interesting thing for future reports to analyze, to see how travel patterns change if traffic volumes return. That will be something we will keep in future reports. So with that, just touching on the point of removal of exemptions, staff will consider removal of exemptions in future monitoring reports. But again, once we have those travel patterns returning back to a normal or a new normal condition. So that's an overview of the analysis process. So in total, 4 deficient street facilities were identified as part of the 2020 analysis. These are each in each direction. So the first 2 are the eastbound and westbound Palomar Airport Road from Avenida Encinas to Paseo del Norte. And the second is southbound and northbound El Camino Real between the Oceanside limits and Marin Road. So the first 2 facilities on Palomar Airport Road, they were both level of service F in both directions. And these facilities were previously exempted by City Council recently in the beginning of 2021 through passage of Resolution 2021-003. And this is just an aerial view of that same segment there, which is identified as deficient, and it was previously exempt. The next 2 facilities are 3 and 4 on El Camino Real from the Oceanside city limits to Marin Road, again in the northbound and southbound direction. Both directions were level of service E deficient. And here's an aerial image of that location. One of the primary factors that go into the level of service calculation is the calculated average speed. So in each of these locations, the speeds essentially just could not get up to a high enough level to where they would be an acceptable level of service. And that's really due to the close intersection spacing. Both of these are located near freeway interchanges. So kind of the collection of the close intersection spacing and the proximity to the freeway interchanges just doesn't allow the speeds to get up to that level where it's an acceptable level of service. So even with that very low, the dip in traffic volumes, they're still deficient due to a combination of these factors. So again, for ECR, this section was previously exempted by City Council in 2019 through Resolution 2019-270. And again, through that exemption process, no projects were identified that would address the deficiencies in both directions. So going back to multimodal level of service, so that was monitored and the data was collected in the fiscal year 2019-2020 analysis. At this time, the methodology is currently being updated through the T&MC ad hoc committee, and the multimodal level of service results will be presented to the Traffic and Mobility Commission in a separate document after the methodology. So the next steps are to work with the Traffic and Mobility Commission to update the multimodal level of service methodology. And the recommended actions are to receive and file the attached Growth Management Plan, General Plan, Annual Monitoring Report, Circulation Section, prepared pursuant to Carlsbad Municipal Code and Government Code 65400. So with that, I will take any questions from the Commission.
And I'm assuming we don't have public comment?
No public comments.
Okay. Commissioners' questions. I see one hand. Okay, we're going to start with Commissioner Linke.
Thank you. So given the huge traffic reductions due to COVID, that there isn't a lot to discuss in this round of traffic monitoring. It's kind of unfortunate that this is sort of the first year where there was a really comprehensive collection of data, and the data is completely skewed by COVID, but it is what it is. One question I had was earlier with the Faraday Avenue Palmer Way agenda item. It was noted that the El Camino Real Faraday Avenue intersection was operating at level of service E and F during AM, PM peak hours, despite COVID, I think, because that data was collected, recently, not like from 2019. Yet on the monitoring, that segment of El Camino Real showed up as level of service A. So I don't know if is there any explanation for that?
I haven't looked into that location specifically. Staff could look into the intersection analysis results closer. I do know those, I'm not sure if Ed is still on, but I do know that those volumes were taken quite a bit later, in terms of how COVID progressed, whereas I think really when we took the volumes for this analysis, that was when, more things were shut down. I think things may have slightly opened up, but we would really have to look into the details of the level of service analysis, compare that with the facility analysis, which we could do, and we could report back to the commission if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think it further emphasizes the need to restore intersection analysis into the monitoring when you get results that are disparate like that. Another question is, I'm hoping that you're not collecting the next round of data for 2021 in March, April, and June. Are you gonna collect it? I would collect it in fall. If given the choice, let's collect it in the fall when school is actually in session.
Yeah.
What are your data collection plans for the next one?
That's a good comment. Staff right now is working on the scope. So, we could be, if we wanted to, we could start collecting counts, next month. But that's a good comment, just to give traffic patterns a little more time to resume. It's a little deviation from what we've done, but I think that is a good suggestion, and we can consider that for the next round of the scope.
And let's see, we got two more questions. One is, we reviewed the GMP monitoring methods at our November 2020 meeting. Is that in other words, the rules that are applied to the collection of this data? I think the last I heard that those are going to be incorporated directly into the TIA guidelines, or is that still separate?
No, we would want to incorporate that as part of our update of the TIA guidelines.
Okay, and do you have an estimate on when we'll be reviewing when the TIA guidelines ad hoc committee will be meeting?
Yeah, I would say, earliest would be late this month, probably likely sometime in early May. Staff is working on, our first draft of the update, then we would present that to the ad hoc committee. So I would guess either late end of the month or early May.
Okay.
I'm sorry, early June.
So we assigned that ad hoc committee, I think, last month. So, the sooner the better on all this. That's all I've got.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, I don't see any. Okay, Commissioner Hunter.
Just to echo Commissioner Linke's deal, obviously 2020 didn't mean much. And if you've been out there on the streets lately, it's back to freaking nuts again, including 5 is red, even on Sundays. I mean, both directions, it's not moving. The 101 is hammered, and it's almost tough to get around the city again all of a sudden. So hopefully we start the measurements after now, because it's I don't, the city's just gone crazy again, but everybody's back out, or almost. when they all get back out, it's going to be crazy. And we're still building in the city. Every place I look, there's stuff going up, which is going to increase traffic. So.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
Sure. Oops, I got the wrong motion deal. So I make a motion that we accept the plan as proposed by Mr. Schmidt for it's just presentation to the city council, I believe. So.
Yeah, it says approve staff recommendation on the agenda.
Yeah, they're just going to propose it to the city council. I make a motion that we approve them putting it to the city council with the caveats that understanding that 2020 was a measurement year that you can kind of throw away.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, can we go for a vote?
Make one more quick comment. This report also again included that flow chart where it says you trigger the more detailed analysis when a street reaches level of service D. But I want to again point out that several of our streets jump from, for example, C to F, and they don't have a D. And like El Camino Real, in certain regions of El Camino Real. So, I mean, I agree with submitting the report, but I still don't agree with that flow chart. And I think that needs to be changed in the TIA guidelines, but that's it. How about I second the motion?
Okay, ready for a vote?
Commissioner Wanamaker,
Yeah, I think we lost him.
we lost him.
He's still showing on the phone.
Yeah,
He is? I don't see him on my screen.
That's Brandon.
Oh, it's Brandon? Oh, okay. Sorry.
so we lost him. So Commissioner Wanamaker is absent. Commissioner Linky,
Aye.
Commissioner Fowler,
Aye.
Commissioner Pensiers,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Perez,
Yay.
Chair Goken.
Yes. Please note it passed 6-1 with Commissioner Wanamaker being absent.